In fact, with all the, increased attention to synesthesia, it has stimulated the imaginations of writers, and we have more synesthete characters in fiction. So I mentioned earlier the kind of autobiographical novel of Vladimir Nabokov, The Gift, about a very gifted young poet. And here's just a couple of excerpts. So, a gifted young poet who experiences colored language. The various numerous A's in the 4 languages which I speak differ from me in tinge, going from lacquered black to splintery gray like different sorts of wood. If I had some paints handy, I would mix burnt sienna and sepia for you to match the color of a CH sound. And you would appreciate my radiant S if I could pour into your cupped hands some of those luminous sapphires that I touched as a child. So kind of very beautiful description of synesthesia. Now we also have another very beautiful description of synesthesia in this novel of Catherine Vaz called Saudade. And this novel has a character who has synesthesia and experiences words as colors. This is kind of a very wonderful magic realist novel. I'm just going to read a little bit of it to you. When encouraged by her lover Helio to explore her word color perceptions, Clara discovers that the colors of words can be transposed to form the colors of music. Colors could guide her, not only to producing sounds on an instrument, they had sound themselves. It meant that words could be reborn as colors, but also as actual music. I can play books directly on the piano, Clara tells her husband excitedly. So we have this kind of wonderful playing with synesthetic experience too in this very poetic novel. And in fact, we have the author Catherine Vaz with us tonight. Here she is. And in fact, Catherine and I met because of synesthesia probably about 20 years ago. Catherine's godmother, who lived in California, I had written an article about synesthesia for the San Francisco Chronicle. Catherine's godmother happened to read it, cut it out, and mailed it to her and said, "Look, this woman is writing about a condition. It's just like the character in your novel." So Catherine got in touch with me, and we have been friends ever since. So now, another contemporary writer who has a synesthetic character is Salman Rushdie. In his novel, Shalimar the Clown, the character Colonel Kachwaha has synesthesia. He barely had words to describe these blurrings. He saw sounds nowadays, he heard colors, he tasted feelings. He had to control himself in conversation, lest he ask, "What is that red noise?" Some of you may be familiar with this series of graphic novels, the Top 10 series by Alan Moore and Jean Ha. And if you are, you know that it takes place in kind of a mythical city called Necropolis. And Necropolis, the people of Necropolis are protected by a police force composed of superheroes. Each superhero has a different superpower. Now, among the superheroes is Synesthesia Jackson. And her superpower is her synesthesia. And so she uses her synesthetic signals to solve crimes, as clues to solve crimes. So here we have just a little example of that. "No, sir, no, it was her perfume I smelled on Gratchik's body, but I translated it into music. She was Gratchik's oft-world drug customer." So we also have a little bit of spoofing on synesthesia here in the Top 10 series. It's a lot of fun, and I would recommend it. Now, we have a classic children's novel back from, I think, 1961, The Phantom Toll Booth by Norton Juster, who himself is a synesthete, as was reported in the New Yorker magazine some years ago. So let's take a look. The character, the letterman, sells tasty alphabet letters. "Here, taste an A, they're very good." Milo nibbled carefully at the letter and discovered that it was quite sweet and delicious, just the way you'd expect an A to taste. I knew you'd like it, popping 2 G's and an R into his mouth and letting the juice drip down his chin. A is one of our most popular letters. All of them aren't that good, he confided in a low voice. Take the Z, for instance, very dry and sawdusty. Now, lest we think it's only in fantastical children's novels that we find accounts of experiences of tasting letters, we also find it in a much more recent novel for adults by Monique Trung called Bitter in the Mouth. Some of you may also know Monique Trung's other novel, The Book of Salt, which received quite a bit of attention. So in Bitter in the Mouth, her main character is someone who experiences every word she hears as a taste. So here we have a little excerpt. Many of the words I heard brought a taste, unique, consistent, and most often unrelated to the meaning of the word that sent the taste rolling into my mouth. This is also an area now of neuroscientific study.